there was always the belief that regardless of your income, you had the opportunity to move up the economic ladder. There was the reality, not just the belief, but the reality, that we had a great and expanding middle class. That if your dad and your mom didn't go to college, which was in fact the case in my family, you would have that opportunity to go to college and move up the educational ladder or the business ladder or professional field. And there was this feeling that economically what America was about and what we celebrated was the great middle class. And I think people today, both from an economic perspective and from a political perspective, are beginning in a very serious way to question that reality. And what they are looking at is that today in our country, we have the most unequal distribution of wealth and income of any major country on earth. The truth is that over the years, we have moved to a situation where in terms of wealth and income, we are now the most unequal society of any major industrialized nation on earth.
If a generation could defeat a depression and define greatness for all time, if a young preacher could lift us to the mountaintop with his righteous dream, and if proud Americans can be who they are and boldly stand at the altar with who they love, then surely we can give everyone in this country a fair chance at that great American dream.
I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal.
Do something with your life. 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 Do something with your life.
Our country was founded upon the American dream of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. For some, it's the opportunity to achieve prosperity and make their own way. For others, it's the opportunity to provide for their children strong education options and career opportunities. Whatever the American dream is to you, at its very core, it's a belief in freedom. Freedom to go where you want to go, to choose what's important to you, to achieve your God-given talent, to be who you want to be.
I want to be a scientist.
I want to be a doctor.
I want to be a teacher.
I want to be the next Stephen King.
I'm going to own my own business.
I'm going to find the cure for cancer.
I'm going to build the tallest building in New York.
I want to be the next Mark Zuckerberg.
I want to be an engineer.
I'm going to run for office someday and help shape my country for the better.
Dude, first day since I've been homeless, I did not steal today. Yeah, it's only 12 o'clock. You actually called me just about to go out and steal some shit. But it didn't happen yet, so wait. Get fed up with this shit, you know what I mean?
A lot of us deal with depression and, you know, some of us lost our families and, you know, it's the only thing that kind of like takes away the pain, you know what I mean? I always get my stuff together and I'll be doing good and I'll be like, oh, I can just do one, you know, and then that one turns into like twice a week, 3 times a week, and then it's like an everyday thing and it's like, fuck, how did I get here again, you know? See, I don't know if it's like a disease or it's more like a choice, but it's just, I think for me, I got started so young, it's almost like a habit, you know? It's like, I don't know, it's like...
A glance at incomes tells the story. Since 1979, a 200% rise for the top 1%ers. The gap with everybody else widening, especially for middle-income households earning between $42,000 and $82,000. In his recent book, published by CBS-owned Simon & Schuster, Robert Putnam argues that this widening income gap has led to a widening and dangerous opportunity gap based on social class. Children's futures dictated by their parents' affluence and education.
Of those whose parents were in the bottom fifth of the income distribution, about 40% remain in the bottom themselves as adults. Similarly, of those whose parents were in the top fifth of the income distribution, about 40% remain in the top themselves. We call this phenomenon stickiness at the ends, because those at the ends of the income distribution are stuck there across generations. By this measure of mobility, the American dream is struggling.
Poverty is passed on. It's taught in your families. And middle class is taught in families. If you're poor, you'll always be poor.
That's really hard for people to understand.
Yeah, the money will disappear that fast. Just like most pro athletes, they make millions of dollars, and but 65% are bankrupt 5 years later. It's because they come from poor families.
How have we gotten to a point where we can have high corporate profits when businesses can be doing so well, but the workers don't necessarily share in that prosperity?
Well, this has been at least a 3-decade-long trend. You have compensation levels for CEOs that are tied directly to those quarterly earnings. You've got international capital that is demanding short-term profits. And so what happens is that a lot of the distributional questions that used to be handled in the marketplace through decent wages or healthcare or defined benefit pension plans, those things all are eliminated. And the average employee, the average worker, doesn't feel any benefit.
It's not just the American economy that's pulled apart, leaving out the middle. It's that the American society has pulled apart into rich families and poor families.
Everything started to go off the charts in terms of, I can buy this, I can have that, because I have a credit card and I can charge it. That was a fake dream. That was a financial lie we were all living. The new American dream is one that's built on honesty.
Our schools are more segregated now than they were, in the late 70s and 80s. That is so backward from the trajectory of our country.
It's simply par for the course. See, I was born in 1941, and I saw the craziness around me then. It's the same craziness I see around me now.
Carry me home when the light in my eyes does fade.
In my world, not too much has changed.
People didn't dismantle Brown versus the Board of Education. People moved their children. People voted with their feet.
I've spent enough time in the hallways and classrooms of segregated schools to see the way that it just crushes the opportunities of these kids. They know that there are other schools with white kids. They know that those schools tend to have better things than they have.
In the book Savage Inequalities, a school in the ghettos of East St. Louis is described to be constantly flooding and lacking the materials necessary for proper education. This school is another example of the American dream not existing because the students attending the school feel hopeless when it comes to their future. They know their social status as minorities gives them little chance in making it in corporate America, especially with just a high school diploma.
I will tell you, you cannot walk into AP courses and you cannot have the best equipped school. So while the front door is open, the classroom door still remains a real impactful problem.
Do something with your life. Do something with your life. Do something with your life.